I'm calling to order rules, confirmations, and public elections. Welcome, everyone. I'm going to call roll. I am here. Council Lady Evans is here. Council Lady Lee is here. Council Lady Murphy is here. Vice Chair Pulley is here. Councilman Rosenberg is here. Councilman Rutherford. Council Lady Sepulveda. Councilman Sledge is not. Yeah, he's not. We have a full house today. Council Lady Stiles is here. Okay, I do have a consent agenda for all of the resolutions. I'm going to read through them really quickly, but if anyone wants to pull them off, feel free to raise your hand now. Okay, RS 2021-953, Bradford and others, honors Chief John Taylor Jr. for his 35 years of service with the Davidson County Sheriff's Office. RS 2021-954, O'Connell, honors the life of Dr. Matthew Walker III. RS 2021-955, Withers and Van Reese, recognizes Bolton Matthews for his contributions to the culture, economy, development, and panache of the city of Nashville. RS 2021-956, Hurt, honors and congratulates Eddie George as the 22nd head football coach at Tennessee State University. RS 2021-957, Stiles and others, recognizes gun violence as a public health crisis. Any discussion or questions? All in favor? Any against? Any not voting? All right, moving on to late items. Ms. Toombs, Council Lady Toombs, a resolution accepting a Victims of Crime Act grant from the Tennessee Department of Finance and Administration, Office of Criminal Justice Programs, to the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Metropolitan Action Commission to increase access to services for victims often underserved within the community. I do have a letter to approve. Does anyone have any questions? Can I get it moved, please? Moved and, do I need it moved? Oh no, there's a letter to approve. And so does anybody have any objection to this late filed resolution? Seeing none, moving on. The next one is from Council Lady Toombs and Murphy, an ordinance adopting the 2021-2022 through 2026-2027 capital improvements budget for the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County as the official capital improvements budget of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County for fiscal year 2021-2022. I have a letter to approve of that as well. Does anybody have any objection to this late filed resolution? Ordinance, I'm sorry. Seeing none, moving on. Bills on second reading. 2021-693, Hall establishes a special solid waste commission to review and identify solutions for the long-term disposal of Nashville solid waste. There is a proposed substitute. Is Councilman Hall, Allen, or Bradford here?
This was deferred in planning.
Okay. Well, it'll be deferred by rule because no one is here.
We're not moving on it. This is just late file, right?
No, this is a bill on second reading. Was it deferred, Hannah?
I don't think this was in planning.
It's deferred by rule regardless, but
I don't think it was in planning.
okay, it's deferred by rule. Moving on. 2021-718, Cash and Murphy amends the Metro Code related to the Board of Electrical Examiners and Appeals, 2.84 related to the Board of Gas Mechanical Examiners and Appeals, and 2.92 related to the Board of Plumbing Examiners and Appeals. There is a proposed amendment. Can someone move the amendment or move the bill?
Move on the bill, and
I see a second.
motion on my
And I
amendment.
also see Councilman Sledge. Thank you. Yes, would you like to move the amendment?
So the amendment, I'll motion the amendment, and what this does is, so I mentioned this last time, it is consolidating three boards. That makes sense because they meet about once a year. They very rarely have cases and items in front of them, but the problem is that these previous three boards all had union designated seats on them, direct appointment seats, and so the consolidation did not have any union representation as those seats. And so I appreciate the administration working with me, and so actually instead of going from 3 union seats on about 27 members across the board, we are now going to have 3 seats of union representation on a 9-member board. And so not only does that represent workers more, it makes, I think it makes Nashville a better place on these boards. So I appreciate the administration for hearing my concerns with Councilman Cash and move for approval.
Thank you. It's been moved and explained. Does anybody have any questions or comments? All in favor? Were you raising your hand? No. All in favor, say aye. Any against? Any not voting? All right, and so we will, can someone move the ordinance as amended?
So moved.
Any comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Any not voting? Thank you. All right, elections and confirmations. We have a lot of folks here today. So this is where the nominee or will sit when your name is called, and hopefully everybody has an agenda so you'll see where you are and can anticipate. I am seeing this first name, and I hope that I don't mess it up, but if I do, feel free to correct me. And I'm going to take all of these at the end, the vote at the end, to have a consent agenda just for time. Auditorium Commission appointment of Ms. Jackie Marushka for a term expiring June 30th, 2024. Hi. Please have it. Did I say it right? Awesome. Yay.
Yes, that's right.
Perfect. All right. If you will just give us a couple of minutes on why you would like to serve on this particular commission. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Hi, Colby. I was honored to be asked to be part of this by Miss Mary Falls, and I'm a 30-year veteran in branding and marketing, and I own my own business. I'm the first, I think, maybe only, hopefully not, Hispanic female founded and led PR entertainment company here in Nashville. So I'm super excited to be stepping into this. My current company, Marushka Media, celebrating 5 years this week. Thank you. We focus on artists, but we also work a lot with organizations like the Americana Music Association, the Academy Awards, the Rose Bowl, and I get to serve on the board of the Tennessee Latin American Chamber of Commerce. So because I own my own business, I have flexibility to serve and give insight and experience into a commission such as this. And I love Nashville, venues. I mean, what would we do without venues? So taking time to serve and give insights on any and all of those directions that require marketing, branding, that's what I want to do. So,
awesome. Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Marushka? Seeing none, any objection to this appointment? All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being willing to serve. Electric Power Board appointment of Ms. Ann Davis for a term expiring July 1st, 2026. Hello. So same thing, I'll give you a couple of minutes just to explain why you would like to be appointed to this board, what experience or expertise you have that lends yourself to it. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. I've been privileged to work with NES and with TVA over the last decade or so on various sustainability or green committees, and I've been involved in energy law at the Southern Environmental Law Center, and I think this is just a great opportunity to continue that work and to help NES make sure that we're well positioned to move to the future of energy. And so I'm honored to be nominated and look forward to serving.
Thank you so much. I know Council Lady Lee has a question for you. You have the floor.
I know in the past, or sometimes there can be challenges with organized labor. I'd like to hear your thoughts of what the role of organized labor is with this board, and what is the board's role dealing with organized labor?
I think there may have been an issue that I'm not real well versed in that happened recently with organized labor and NES, and I'll just say that I'm a supporter of organized labor, and I think as a board member of NES, we've got to make sure that we take a hard look at everything and do what's best for NES employees.
Cool. I just have one addition to that. Explain to me, help me with what does support look like? What did you mean when you said you are support?
Well,
I'm trying to just see how the roles go together.
Sure. Well, I myself have never been a union member. My husband has. And I think unions provide a great needed service for working people.
Absolutely. Any other questions or comments from Ms. Davis? All right, any objection? Any not voting? There was one not voting. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Employee Benefit Board reappointment of Dr. Christine Bradley for a term expiring June 30th, 2024. Dr. Bradley, thank you for joining us. If you'll give us a couple minutes on why you would like to be reappointed to this board.
Sure. I've really appreciated my service on this board up until this point, and I'm honored that they asked me to serve again. I have a background in HR, education, psychology. I think it serves the board well. I think it serves Metro well, and I think I can contribute something.
So much. Does anybody have any questions, comments? Council Lady Murphy, you have the floor.
Thank you. Could you talk to us a little bit? Can you talk to us a little bit about your feelings about retiree benefits, about the fact that our employees, that they have worked for us for several years, they retire with the expectation of certain benefits, and your philosophy on those benefits being kept as promised or changing or being modified in some way after they retire?
I think the benefits that we've promised employees, and I'm a Metro employee and I'm a retiree, it's absolutely essential that we honor those promises. I think those promises can be honored in different ways without reneging on anything at all, and yet provide sort of a fiduciarily, I think we also have a fiduciary responsibility to Metro, to the citizens, and to the employees, so that we can maintain good benefits. And so I think that there needs to be a real balance between honoring that, for sure, absolutely honoring that, and incorporating that with the other side of the coin, which is a fiduciary responsibility to make sure when we honor it, we do so in a reasonable and responsible way.
So am I hearing you say that you are comfortable with the benefits changing if we need to for fiduciary reasons, as long as they maintain the same high level or the same level that was promised when they were retired?
Exactly.
Kind of-
As long as those
as long as they
levels
stay
are
apple to apple.
maintained.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments for Dr. Bradley? All right, any objection? No, thank you so much. Absolutely. The Equalization Board appointment of Ms. Eva Romano for a term expiring April 1st, 2022. Hello, Ms. Romano. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Just a couple minutes on why you would like to serve on this board.
I love the city. I've been here most of my life, and I would like to give back and serve to the board and be active.
Does anybody have any questions? What experience do you have in your professional history that would lend itself to the Equalization Board?
I'm a realtor.
Okay, awesome. Me too.
Forgot to say that.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. Does anybody else have any questions? All right. Any objection? Thank you so much, Ms. Romano. Farmers Market Board appointment of Mr. Alejandro La Palma Lorenz. Hope I said that right. Okay, perfect. For a term expiring May 5th, 2026. Thank you for joining us this evening. Just a couple minutes on your appointment and why you would like to serve and what specific skills or experience that lends you to this board.
Okay, I'm a CPA, Certified Public Accountant. I'm a financial planner. That's what I do. I own a business. I believe it is the only Hispanic sole practitioner accounting practice in the area. I have a vast knowledge of the Hispanic community. Exactly why I've been nominated to the Farmers Market Board, I'm not sure, and I'm just trying to discover it here. But I know that I've been nominated, and they were just trying to place me in a board that I could be useful. I believe that the reason why they picked this particular one is because over the last 2-3 years, pre-COVID, I've done extensive traveling over the world, performing audits, and And I think they're just trying to implement a little bit of multicultural things into the board, into the farmers market. I believe that's what it is. But I'm just trying to discover too, you know, why is it that I was placed exactly into this board?
Sure, absolutely. Does anybody have any questions? Councilor Eddie Evans, you have the floor.
Hello.
Hello. I'm your representative, Aaron. Hello. We have not met in person before. It's very nice.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. It's very nice to meet you, and thank you so much for being willing to serve. I was just looking at your resume, and just more curiosity for me. When you were at Deloitte, were you at the location that's in Hermitage, or were you at a different?
No, I was in audit in
okay.
in downtown. The Hermitage, I think it is
It's all
mainly
internal
the support
services.
services for the
Okay,
accountants.
very good. Well, I'm really excited that you're willing to serve, because reading your resume, I'm like, of course, it seems like a natural fit for me.
Really?
Why you would be.
Okay, so we can have that
appointed.
conversation later.
Yes, for sure, but thank you very much.
All right.
Councilor Sepulveda, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Alejandro, for being willing to step up and serve on this board. I just want to take a moment to thank the administration for having such a diverse group of people up for boards and commissions this time around. I really do appreciate that. I know that having more Hispanic people was something that we had been talking about, so I am glad that this administration is willing to move on some of the suggestions. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, any objection? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Planning Commission appointment of Mr. Ed Henley for a term expiring March 31st, 2025. Mr. Henley, it is good to see you again. I was used to seeing you once a week for a little bit. All right, just a couple of minutes on why you would like to serve on the Planning Commission.
Absolutely. So as a Nashville native, I believe it's extremely important that we continue to plan our city for the growth that we're experiencing. My history is that I've been in the land use development, real estate development, construction management, and planning field for about 10 years. Started with the building we're all sitting in today. So welcome to my building, right? It's how I always like to feel. Welcome people to my city. But our city, and I feel like I've been someone who's been a champion for greater planning efforts, particularly more site-specific when we're doing large capital projects. That's where the majority of the work that myself and my firm, Pillars Development, do as a service to the city as well as other municipalities. But I've also been critical of planning. And now I'm given the opportunity to step into a seat where I'm able to be part of the solution, right, instead of just pointing a finger. So I'm extremely excited about that, and I have great people around me who have been on the Planning Commission, and I've worked with plenty of people that are at planning now, have great relationships with a lot of staff, so I'm just happy to be a part of the team. I feel like I have a great amount of experience to offer, but I'm also excited to learn, and I bring national expertise as well. I sit on the Urban Land Institute's Public Development Infrastructure Council, and so I believe it's important that Nashville continues to learn from our counterparts, our sister cities, and others that are struggling with the things that we are. And I'm also going to be the incoming chairperson of the Urban Land Institute here in Nashville. So wanting to continue to build that strong relationship between our city and all of our development and land use professionals that want to help serve our city.
Thank you. Councilor Lee, you have the floor.
So nice to meet you. That
Pleasure.
sounds wonderful. I was just wondering, what area, in which area do you live, and which area is your firm located?
Absolutely. So I live in District 17. So Kobe is my council representative. I grew up in East Nashville, and my parents still live in East Nashville. My firm is actually remote, and that was even before COVID happened. So we kind of adjusted very well. So I can say that I have representation in most parts, if you go in different directions of the city, with a total of 9 employees.
Okay. Done most in the southeast?
Well, most of my work has been in the urban core. So a lot of the work with the city, particularly, but the southeast as far as fairgrounds.
We're changing out there.
Yeah, and Councilmember Stiles and I have become friends as of late. So some exciting things ahead.
Thank you.
No, happy
Thank
to.
you, ma'am.
Absolutely. My experience with you, I am thrilled that you are hopefully going to be appointed with no objection. I can't imagine. So thank you for being. Oh, Councilor Stiles, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to jump in and say that Mr. Henley is an amazing individual. I love his integrity, his character, his work ethic. He is part of the team that is revitalizing the Global Mall right now. And so he's been a very active participant with wonderful vision as we revitalize the area. So he would be a phenomenal addition to the commission.
Thank you for that.
Council Lady Evans.
Thank you. I haven't had the opportunity to work with you before, but I think most of the complaints I hear about the Planning Commission is that there's not as much consideration for neighborhood concerns as there could be. How would you center neighborhoods and residents, existing residents, when it comes to adding density, increasing development, especially in the communities like mine in Hermitage, where we've kind of been very steady and slow, and now we're starting to really build in terms of the opportunities and the development out in these more rural suburban areas?
Absolutely. So I've championed and been a part of some community plan amendments. I think that while understaffed right now, and I know they need more resources, I believe we have a community engagement and a community education problem. I'm a champion and advocate for it. I know there are a lot of planning studies that are happening now, which are great. The unfortunate part is with COVID, people have not been able to participate in person, and virtually we're still learning. But I also feel like now we have two different models that we can take and implement, right? So a hybrid model. I'm really excited about it. I'm working as part of the East Bank study, and so we're really testing that now with a very high-profile planning study. But again, I'm a big advocate of lessons learned, right? And so I believe that small communities should benefit from the same types of things that we're doing on these large capital projects. Bring them to the smaller communities, same amount of engagement, same amount of attention, and I feel like you'll get the community engagement participation way up compared to what we've experienced in the past.
Murphy.
Hey, I'm Kathleen, so I'll be on the Planning Commission with you, and so I'm excited to welcome you to that. Your resume looks really impressive. I'm glad to see a lot of things about parks and trees, because that's a lot of the issues that have been coming up lately. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that you will be helping bring down kind of our age median on the Planning Commission, because I have been the youngest member, so you've got me beat by a little bit, and I'm excited to hear your experience coming onto the board, and it sounds like you're very well balanced between development and neighborhood, so I appreciate that and look forward to working with you.
No, thank you. Happy to take the torch over as the youngest member.
Any other comments or questions? Any objection? No.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Councilmember. Thanks, everyone.
Traffic and Parking Commission appointment of Mr. Brandon Mason for a term expiring April 3rd, 2026. Mr. Mason, come on down.
I had to follow him.
Yeah. Yeah, what you got? I'm just kidding. Thank you for joining us tonight. And just a few minutes on why you would like to serve on this particular commission and any experience or expertise that you have that would lend itself toward.
Absolutely. I'm grateful and humbled to be appointed. You know, I've been in the construction industry for a little over 15 years now, so infrastructure is something that's important to me. I also have a daughter. She likes to be outside and she likes to walk the streets and, you know, go out and play, so it's important to slow traffic down and do some of those things for the kids of our community. Mainly just, you know, I'm at the point in my life and career that I want to help and serve and be a part of the solutions that we can help and drive this community and help point the city in the right direction related to traffic and transit.
All for slowing people down. Does anybody have, Council Lady Lee?
Hi there, how are you?
Hello.
Thank you for agreeing to do this. I have a question because I'm out in the southeast and our infrastructure is terrible out there. So what have you been thinking? One, I guess, have you traveled out there much, especially during the main, when all the main traffic is on there? And then two, what do you kind of foresee or think that you can offer or thoughts you've had about that area where it comes to infrastructure?
When we say southeast, you mean going towards Murfreesboro?
I do, like Cambridge, Antioch area, all out in there.
I think the public transit is underutilized in this city. I think the way that it's looked at is something that's not something that everybody can use. So maybe having some sort of campaign or push to get more people on the buses and doing more of the public transit in that sense. You know, sharing common lanes on the highways to where, you know, certain traffic owned a lane at certain parts of the day may be an option. There's definitely, you know, various, you know, maybe doing an assessment just to understand how much traffic is out there and polling and seeing some options that the community would like to see to help fix that would probably be a start. It's a challenge and it's going to be tough. You know, there's a lot of, that corridor is very backed up. I've commuted to the airport for work in previous years, so I understand that. But I think assessing it and really, you know, looking at some ways that other cities have attacked it would be important.
I think a lot of times other areas are thought about when we think about traffic on our infrastructure and everything. A lot of areas are thought of first. So I just ask you to keep the Southeast in mind when you all are looking at things, when you're talking about how things affect different areas, because ours is affected differently. So just keep us in mind.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Absolutely. Any other questions or comments? Oh, yes, Councilor Henderson, not on the committee, but recognized.
I appreciate your willingness to serve. Thanks very much. Oh, thank you. Dave? I wanted to ask, particular to like our strategic plans, so our walk and bike strategic plan, our transportation plan. So much of what happens on Traffic and Parking Commission is about trade-offs in the public right-of-way. Is there going to be a bus here? Is there going to be street parking here? Is there going to be a bike lane? So, you know, serving on that commission, it's really important to be conscientious of the larger strategic plans and the trade-offs that are being made at any one particular time. And so I just wondered, you clearly have got great kind of infrastructure professional experience that you'll bring to bear, but just wondered, do you have a willingness to kind of review those plans and understand kind of operationally that, you know, bringing that to the work of the commission?
Absolutely. You know, nothing's successful without the input of the people that's going to be using it, right? So anything that's already in place, you know, you definitely need to review and assess, and then, you know, apply the best knowledge that you have, or the best demographic of the area. You know, which one of those do they use the most and are going to utilize is something that you would apply to that decision. I think community involvement is paramount and something you consider first, and then, you know, see what kind of plans and things that you have in place, and then take that information and make a collective decision to make things better for those specific areas based on the specific needs.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any other questions or comments? Any objection? Seeing none. Thank you so much for being willing to serve. Another Traffic and Parking Commission appointment of Mr. Santiago, I'm going to say Tefel. Ooh, that was good. Well, I heard some, there was a birdie over here that said it, and so I had to, I'm not going to give myself credit for that. I'm going to give someone else credit.
Only my mother calls me Santiago.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm not your mother, so what would you like for me to call you?
Santi is fine.
Santi, okay, got it. All right, just a couple minutes on why you would like to serve on this commission, and what particular experience or expertise you have that lends yourself to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I have served in a commission before. I served two terms in the Metro Arts Commission, so I'm very familiar with all the nuts and bolts that go along with serving on a commission. Also, I am a community banker, so I work with a lot of small businesses and individuals within the community. So I'm well aware with the needs of the community, as well as how to manage and overlook a budget.
Any questions? I see you're giving me eye contact. Council Lady Lee, you are.
Well, basically, I have the same question that I had for Mr. Mason about the southeast area. I don't know if that is one of the areas you are in, or if you have frequented it. I know our whole city needs an upgrade on the infrastructure, but the infrastructure out there is very different, and it has been kind of, I don't want to say neglected. It has needed an upgrade for a long time. So I hope that that would be a piece of what's in your mind when you all are looking at different things, that that area isn't put to bed. Have you thought of anything, or, because I know this is new, about that area, or some things that you might do to help that area yet?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't have a specific answer, but I can share with you that during my time in Metro Arts, we had the same question asked daily. And, you know, the city is beautiful here in downtown, but what about the other communities and the other zip codes and the other areas? So at my time in Metro Arts Board, I helped organize a microfinancing program where we were allowed to expand the Metro Arts programs within the communities to be fair among all communities, and not just so that when someone comes to our city, they say, oh, well, downtown's really pretty. Well, what about the Bellevue Library? What about the other parks? So we were able to create that program, and that really helped to expand. And that program started with, I believe it was about $7,500 per event. And today I believe it's up to $50,000. So it's been a program that's been able to grow. And the purpose of it was to get involvement, not just in what our visitors that come to Nashville see, what all of our constituents live and are part of.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Absolutely.
Mr. Tefel, it's a pleasure to represent you in District 34. And I'm looking at your application and kind of, describe your qualifications and reasons. You and I discussed see attached cover letter, which I don't think got in the packet,
Yeah.
but I just wanted to afford you just a little more time, similar to my questions to Mr. Mason about so much of the work that the commission does is about trade-offs within the public right-of-way, particular to our strategic plan, parking policy. I can imagine in working with kind of small businesses, they're, want to locate bike racks, and what does it mean if a transit stop is here, and, do they have eating a cafe on their sidewalk, and, just kind of all those trade-offs that happen in the public right-of-way, as well as kind of parking minimums, parking maximums, where we put valets, all those kind of things. And so if you could maybe just speak to a little bit more of the work of the commission and why you feel you're well suited to it.
Yeah, I've got a personal interest in the future of the city with terms of parking and transportation. I feel like we're getting ready to see a big technological change within the automobiles. Well, we all own cars here. 70 to 80% of the time our car is spent on a parking lot. We're not getting the full utilization of these automobiles, but what we are getting is a lot of them more on the road. So we kind of need to figure out how to do that trade-off balance to, not just spend all the attention on these cars, which are not getting near the full utilization that we pay for. We all know that the cars are expensive, and now that you think about it, the car spends 80% of the time parked. You're not really getting your money's worth. So with that being said, I can tell you that I know for a fact, if you try to buy a bicycle during COVID last year, you cannot buy one. I tried to get one for my kids. It was the first thing I wanted to do when we were stuck at home. Let's buy bicycles for the kids. Well, you couldn't find one. Well, why? Because everybody went and bought one. And then they quickly realized, well, there's nowhere to ride them but a park. So I hope to be able to work to improve that within the city and within the neighborhoods and within the sidewalks, and make it not only for what the people here that visit the city, again, just see downtown, to see where all to be able to do it where all the constituents live, and not kind of see, because when you go down, you get on the Mumbrian and you try to get on the interstate, there's like one bike lane and that's it. Where you have cities like Miami, who's devoted their money towards transportation in the form of commuting. Well, they're ranked as one of the top 10 cities to be the most walking-friendly cities or bike-friendly cities in the country. Well, they've been able to do both, and I think we can definitely do that as well.
Absolutely. Councilor Murphy, you're recognized.
So Santi, this might hurt you in the vote, but Santi and I go back to freshman orientation in college. And so we've known each other for a while, and he was my constituent before moving to Council Lady Henderson's district, and so we've had several conversations for several years. And so I want to kind of assure some of y'all who are outside of West Nashville that I know Santi to be somebody who is very thoughtful, and our shared experience in the education we received, it was very social justice based, and very much of how do we were given a great education to serve others. And I think that his service in the Arts Commission proves that. I think him transferring to the Traffic and Parking Commission will prove that. And I think that we will all be impressed by his thoughtfulness across the county. Even if he doesn't live in your area, he will be very thoughtful about the trade-offs that we are asked to make. And he will be very thoughtful for all of our constituents and making sure that equity is across the board in Davidson County and all the decisions that are made at the Traffic and Parking Commission. And so Santi, thank you for
Thank you,
willing
Kathleen.
to continue to serve in a different capacity, a more probably slightly, you've got 2 young boys at home. So I don't
Two
know if it's to get
crazy
away from
boys.
them. Yes, because they take after their grandfather. I don't know if that's to get away from them or to make Nashville a better place to live. But I also think that you're growing up in Miami and being from there, you can bring us great ideas to make Nashville a better place to live. So
Absolutely.
again, please don't hold that against him that he and I go back to freshman orientation.
Freshman year student council.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's
Kathleen
right.
and I were both
Yep.
student
Yeah, you may have
senators.
You may have just tanked this
I
nomination
know, I'm
altogether,
sorry.
but with that, I would love to move for approval.
Any other questions, comments, any objection? Thank you so much, Santi. We appreciate you.
You're welcome. Thank you for your time.
Transit Authority appointment, last but not least, of Miss Jessica, and I'm hoping I do not mess up your last name. I'm going to say Dauphin. Again, help from this one I know. The other one was a birdie, and I'm not exactly sure where that came from. I think it was Council Lady Henderson for a term expiring June 1st, 2026. Thank you so much for joining us, and just give us a couple minutes on why you would like to serve and what experience and expertise you have that lend yourself to it.
Thank you so much. Well, I would like to serve because I believe that a city with great public transportation is a great city. And along with that, I've learned through my years at the Transit Alliance that individual freedoms are directly tied to mobility. Transit specifically supports many of the goals of our city, including things like Vision Zero, pathways to equity, safety, environmental sustainability, a revival of our economy, especially hospitality and tourism. I've seen firsthand and heard so many stories of transit riders and other community members about their transportation fears and woes and hopes for the future, quite frankly, from the mundane to the out of this world. I hear that so often, and I want to put that to work for the MTA board. I see the MTA board as one of Nashville's biggest assets. Moving forward after the mayor's State of Metro 58 call to action in terms of a city on the rise must rise to the occasion, and I see transformational investment in our public transit as that rise to the occasion.
Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions? I've got a hand raised. Council Lady, sorry. I've been calling on her first. Councilman Rosenberg, you are recognized. I apologize.
Thank you, Jessica, for agreeing to do this. Jessica is a great advocate for transit, a great neighbor. This is perfect for her. She's going to be amazing for the city, and I'm really thankful that you're doing it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilmember. That's great.
Lady Lee.
I loved what you just said. Individual freedom is tied to mobility. I love that.
Thank you.
So I know you're going to think about that in your position if you are elected to this board. I've had people talk to me in my area, again, you've heard me talk about the southeast area, about transit, and I'm told, well, you don't have so many people, you don't have a lot of people riding it, so we don't do a lot out there. Well, they're not riding it because it's so far and in between, and they don't have the stops to do it. And so that's why they're not riding it. So when you think of all of it, what impacts everything, I hope you will look at what impacts everything, not just the numbers, because if the numbers are low, then you should be looking at why. But I love that individual freedom is tied to mobility.
Thank you. I will keep that in mind. Thank you so much, Councilmember.
Thank you. You and I met on the campaign trail in 2019. Seems like 100 years ago at this point, but I will say that your passion and your advocacy, to Councilman Rosenberg's point, and your knowledge of the subject is an excellent choice for this particular authority, so I'm thrilled I'm thrilled about it. Thank you so much for your willingness to serve. Does anybody have any objection after I just said that? Seeing none, thank you so much. Okay, because we did have, Hannah, we did have an abstention on one. I have to pull that off of consent, correct? Okay, so the one not voting, I will take separately. So the Electric Power Board appointment of Ms. Ann Davis. What I have is 9 in favor, 0 against, 1 not voting. Is that correct? All right, perfect. And so everything else is on consent. I will have as 10 in favor, 0 against. Does anybody have any objection to that? I guess I need to move them. Does anybody want to second? Seconded. Awesome. 10 in favor, 0 against. Thank you all so much for your willingness to serve. I do want to say that as far as my meetings that I've held, this has been the most productive, I think, where we've had some really meaningful comments and questions to these appointees. And I also want to speak to what Council Lady Sepulveda said with the administration's very diverse nature of the appointments. I super appreciate that too, and I think we all do. So we're moving in the right direction. Thank you so much. We're adjourned.